Brookhaven was a quiet, forgotten town far from the busy city. Its slow pace and silent roads hid secrets among the tall, whispering trees. My family had owned a small wooden cabin deep in these woods for as long as I could remember. Every summer we gathered there to share stories by the warm glow of the fireplace, but this time I went alone. I had just turned 20 and craved a taste of adventure and solitude. I planned a simple overnight camping trip near the old cabin. I packed my bag with food, water, and a trusty flashlight, feeling both excited and uneasy as I drove along winding roads. The sun's rays shone through the trees, painting the forest in soft gold. The calm made my heart beat steadily, yet a strange chill lingered in the back of my mind. After about an hour, I turned onto a dusty dirt road that led to a narrow trail. I parked my car and began my hike, the fresh scent of pine and moist earth surrounding me. The only sounds were the gentle rustling of leaves and the distant call of a bird. The peacefulness felt almost like a promise, until I saw the cabin. There it stood, looking much the same as always, except something was wrong. One window was missing, completely gone, as if it had been taken off with care. I remembered that every part of the cabin was perfect during my last visit. No one lived here, so why was the window gone? A cold shiver ran down my spine. I paused, staring at the dark, empty space where the glass should have been. I tried to tell myself it was just an animal or maybe local kids playing tricks, but deep down, I felt something was off. I had brought a spare key, so I reached for it with trembling fingers. To my surprise, the door was not locked. In fact, it creaked open on its own before I even had a chance to turn the key. My breath caught in my throat as I stepped into the dim interior. Inside, the cabin was as I remembered: old wooden floors, dusty furniture, and the faint smell of wood mixed with something else, something hard to place. Then I noticed the marks on the walls. Long, thin scratches ran from the floor to the ceiling. Some cuts looked fresh, while others were faded with age. They seemed almost like desperate words carved into the wood, warning anyone who dared to enter. As I walked further in, my footsteps sounded too loud in the heavy silence. Suddenly, I heard a soft shuffling noise coming from one of the bedrooms. My heart pounded faster as I gripped my flashlight and approached the door. The room was barely lit by the weak light filtering through the gap where the window once was. The bed lay neatly made, and an old wardrobe stood silently in the corner. But the closet door was wide open, as if someone had been hiding inside. "Hello?" I called out, my voice barely above a whisper. No answer came, just the echo of my own words. I stepped closer and slowly pulled the door open. Inside, there were only old coats and dusty boxes, yet a strong feeling of being watched filled the air. And then I heard it, a faint, deliberate breath that was not my own. It was soft and chilling, a sound that made my skin crawl. I turned around quickly, my flashlight beam dancing over the shadows. In that moment, I felt an unseen presence press against me, heavy and menacing. Panic took over. I bolted from the room, my feet pounding against the creaking wooden floor. I raced down the hall and burst out the front door into the cool night air. The forest around me had turned dark and twisted under the moonlight. My backpack thumped against my shoulders as I ran back along the trail toward my car. Every step felt like I was being chased. Behind me, I could almost hear soft footsteps echoing in the distance. My mind raced with thoughts of what I had just experienced. A warning, perhaps, or something far more sinister. When I finally reached the car, my hands shook as I fumbled for the keys. Just as I managed to unlock the door, I caught a movement at the edge of my vision. A tall, thin shadow emerging from between the trees. It was not a tree or a trick of the light. It was something alive. Slowly it stepped forward, its shape shifting as if made of smoke and darkness. I could not see its face, only the emptiness where eyes should have been. "Stay away," I whispered to myself. But my voice was lost in the sound of my pounding heart. I slammed the car door shut and locked it in a frenzy. My eyes darted around, trying to make sense of the terror that had followed me. Then the impossible happened. The shadow moved closer, its long form sliding along the ground toward my car. It reached the door and, in a slow and deliberate motion, stretched a hand toward the handle as if trying to force its way in. I gripped the keys tighter, my entire body trembling with fear. Desperate, I inserted the key into the ignition and turned it. The engine roared to life, and in that moment I flicked on the headlights. A bright beam of light cut through the darkness and struck the approaching figure. The shadow recoiled, twisting as if burned by the sudden brightness, and then, just like that, it vanished into the night. I didn't wait to see if it would return. I pressed my foot hard on the gas pedal and sped away, my heart still racing and my mind reeling from the encounter. The trees blurred past as I drove, but I could not shake the feeling that something was still following me. When I finally stopped at a gas station far from Brookhaven, I took a moment to catch my breath. I tried to calm myself by replaying the events over and over in my mind. Was it just my imagination? Had I been tricked by my own fear? The scratches on the cabin walls, the open closet, and that chilling breath, they were all too real to be imagined. I later learned that the cabin had a dark history. Rumors in Brookhaven spoke of a lonely figure who once lived there, a person who vanished under mysterious circumstances. Some said his spirit roamed the cabin, trapped by grief and regret, leaving behind marks and strange sounds as a warning to anyone who dared to disturb him. I never found a clear answer, but the evidence was there, etched into the very wood of the cabin. I never returned to the cabin, and I never spoke of that night in detail. Even now, whenever I drive past a quiet road or walk alone at night, I feel that lingering chill, a reminder of the shadow that once reached for me in the dark. The memory of that night remains etched in my mind, a constant whisper that some secrets are better left undisturbed. And sometimes, in the quiet of the night, when the wind moans through the trees, I swear I can still hear that soft, chilling breath, echoing a message I can never quite understand. You are not alone.